She's Dallas Richmond's ex-girlfriend. Well, ex-wife. Ex-something. Dallas's baby mama. There you go. That's a better way of saying it. Harlee, just like Dallas, is a severe alcoholic. When she fucked up, it was myself and Dallas that had to pick up the pieces. It's myself and Dallas who had to take the consequences. And Harlee, like many self-absorbed and stuck-up women in this country, doesn't think that there should be any consequences for her actions. There were no consequences for her actions. When I first moved in with Dallas Richmond, he was suicidal over the way that he was treated by Harlee. Does Harlee care? No, she kept on coming over and trying to push him to commit suicide. Starting fights because she's drunk. Hitting him, throwing shit at him. She's an extremely violent person, but she's a female, so it's okay. She was drinking and driving with 5 children in the vehicle. And Dallas is the one who took the punishment. Dallas is the one who had to go to a bunch of classes. Dallas didn't do anything wrong. But he's got battered women syndrome. So he blames himself when Harlee beats on him, when Harlee berates him, when Harlee won't take no for an answer. We've taught women that we're not allowed to tell them no, or they're allowed to harm us. Look at how many times women have harmed me for saying no, for setting boundaries. Harlee Renee is responsible for a lot of abuse, including against children. But the United States doesn't care about the law, it cares about bias. Well, I was staying with Dallas Richmond. You know, if Dallas hadn't been a lazy piece of shit for almost a full year by that point, and spent almost a full year mooching off of his family and getting drunk, he didn't have a fucking job for 7 months. All of his income came from me and from his family. All of it, every bit of it. And meanwhile, it wasn't a safe place for me because every time Harlee came over, she made it an unsafe place. Now, because Harlee didn't want to pay any goddamn attention to the consequences of her actions for others, me and Dallas had to be the ones using our fucking brains. You know why I moved out of Dallas Richmond's? Is it because Dallas was horrible to me? No. It was because Harlee Renee pulled a stupid, didn't care about the lives of her children or other people's children, chose alcoholism over her own children repeatedly, over and over and over and over. So I had to move out of that place. At least at Dallas's, I had some freedom. Some. As long as Harlee wasn't there. Me and Dallas were able to have pretty decent conversations as long as Harlee wasn't there. And also because I was never allowed to defend myself against my predators. They get to use that reputation. Anybody can use that reputation and harm me repeatedly, which is what's been done. Meanwhile, Harlee's done nothing but help my predators. Over and over again, Dallas came to me complaining about fucking Harlee. Hey, I don't know what's going on between you and Harlee. You do, Dallas. She comes over and she's abusive. Dallas tells me, hey, I can't call the cops. I'm a guy. I'll get arrested. I'm the one who will get arrested. Every man has to be afraid of that. And Harlee Renee knows that. She's one of the most selfish pieces of shit that I have ever met. I like her personality when she's not fucking drunk. I liked her when she worked at Pump and Pantry. But when she did harmful things to me, she wants to repeatedly change the subject and make it about her relationship with Dallas. No, 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 no. Your relationship with Dallas was fucking over. So you made his life and my life hell by not going away. You knowingly, willingly, and intentionally created safety issues there and drama over at Dallas's. Over and over again. Do you have any idea how scared I had to be that she was going to show up and start throwing things again? Or say, hey, I need you to watch the kids. I have an emergency. And then he says, all right, I'll watch the kids. And then she shows up and he can't watch the kids. She won't allow him the time to do that because she's demanding of his attention. So I had to move out of Dallas's place so that I couldn't be used against Dallas and Harlee, primarily against Dallas. And they did try pulling that. See, Dallas, he got in trouble. He was charged with domestic assault despite the fact that he was the one assaulted. And I had to move. I had to move to a place where I had been harmed before. That's low-income housing in Chapel, Nebraska. I had to move into low-income housing in Chapel. It was the only place I could get low-income housing. I was glad that I got it. But you know what it took for that to happen? Megan Missigatis. She's the one that helped me to get housing. But she didn't care about her job as a mandated reporter. I let her know about the abuse that I was enduring repeatedly. She never once tried to help me to turn it into the cops. I had to force situations where she would try. She claimed that she never refused to make any of the calls that I needed to make with me. She absolutely did. There was always some excuse why she couldn't. It was her job to help turn it in right away. Meanwhile, you can see how the courthouse here does the same thing as the courthouse in Nebraska. They send me around in circles and then they change their mind. They're taking advantage of an at-risk adult, which is the same thing that Dallas did and the same thing that Harlee did. Even though Harlee was guilty, she was angry that I spoke up. And of course, even though me and Harlee's issue was over her abuse towards him and how it affects me and how it affects those children, Harlee wants to make it just about her and her ex. It's not about you and your ex. It's about your abuse towards at-risk adults. Now, Harlee, Dallas was telling me all the time about how Harlee was mad at me, but he didn't want to hear it. It's between me and her. It wasn't between me and her. It was not my business. It was never my business. Except for the fact that I was stuck in that environment and it was resulting in me being abused, me being neglected, me having to be afraid of Harlee Reichman, of her selfishness. Who does she care more about, her kids or her booze? Her booze, obviously. Driving around drunk with your children in the vehicle is not okay. Then let's fast forward. All these people with these professional agencies are still trying to push me off and pawn me off on Dallas. Dallas is afraid to do anything. He's afraid because he's a coward. And look at how he interacted with Harlee Richmond. He wasn't allowed to tell her no. He wasn't allowed to tell her to leave. Or she would try he owes it to her to love her because they have kids together. He owes it to her to be back together with her because they got kids together. Meanwhile, she's abusive to him. She's abusive to me. And still, I had no friends or family to help me because of slander and because of abuse by people like Harlee, who doesn't stop to realize the repercussions for others or hear the repercussions for others. She makes it about her and doesn't shut up because she's selfish. We have taught every woman in America to be this way. Thank goodness for those who choose not to. Because I don't have any friends or family, I have no rights. I've gone to all of the services that I'm told to go to. Not once have any of these services attempted to look at evidence or investigate any of the crimes against me. Instead, they send me from one place to another. When I was in Chapel, Nebraska, and I was staying in low income because of Harlee's violence and Harlee's alcoholism and Harlee's child abuse and Harlee's domestic violence, so after all the abuse that I was taking with no assistance, there was no assistance. Everybody just argued with me instead of helping me to turn it in. When I got kicked out of low income, I knew that was a possibility, but I had to do that to try to get help. I was stuck in low income, being abused by the people at low income. Not all abuse is sexual. Not all abuse is physical. Financial abuse and not maintaining the residences of at-risk adults, costing them a lot of money that is not recoverable without assistance. And all of these people prey on that. I have no friends or family. When I moved back in with Dallas, he and Harlee had sort of gotten back together, sort of. But she was still bitching to him about me, obviously, because every time people bitched at him, he'd come and bitch at me. People at work would bitch at him, he'd come and bitch at me. Instead of fess up to the police with me that people were harassing him, he'd tell me, oh, no, it's no big deal. It's a big enough deal for you to come fucking chastise me for being victimized. It's a big enough deal for you to come chastise me about you being victimized, about you being harassed. Who is it at work that was harassing you, Dallas? Anyway, after I moved back in with Dallas, and Robert Franklin Warnick chased me down and assaulted me, Harlee went over and spent some time over at his place. I'm not insinuating, but she keeps trying to pretend. She's going out of her way to change the narrative and change the story and make it something that it's not. We've taught every woman in America to do this. But the fact is, Harlee Renee Richmond is one of my predators, one of Dallas's predators, one of her children's predators, and other people's children's predators. And she got away with it scot-free. She got busted red-handed. Who took the consequences? Myself. Dallas Richmond. It cost us both a lot of money to try to fix her mistakes. Then, after the assault by Robert Warnick, I needed help turning it in. Dallas didn't fucking care. He and Harlee were too busy screaming at each other because after Robert Franklin Warnick assaulted me repeatedly, And I tried to turn it in. I had no safe way to turn it in because I had to turn it into Dual County Sheriff's Department alone. None of these mandated reporters have assisted me at any point in time in safely turning in my evidence. I've been abused in Tillamook since I got here. And I tell people about the abuse, they don't care. They don't care who hurts me. Just like Harlee didn't care who hurts me. Just like she didn't care about her husband or her kids, she cared about her booze. Just like Dallas didn't care about me, didn't care about his kids, didn't care about Harlee, cared about his booze. He only cared about Harlee when he was horny and drunk. Meanwhile, she'd always come over horny. And she didn't take no for an answer. If he wouldn't have sex with her, she'd throw a tantrum. So after the assault by Robert Franklin Mornick, Dallas and Harlee came home, yelling and screaming at each other. And she was being violent and she was throwing things, and I was just doing my best to try to pretend that I was sleeping. I recorded it though. She'd gone over to Robert Franklin Mornick's after he assaulted me, and I'd posted it up publicly. Harlee is one of the people who's in contact with, there's somebody coordinating with the predators in Chapel, Nebraska. People like Harlee Renee, people like Kenneth Zarecki. I have to post publicly because police won't do their jobs, my friends and family don't care. And then they want to play victim because I post up publicly about the victimization. Harlee Renee is a violent alcoholic. She's also a very selfish person. When I had to lock the doors, it was the next morning after that because Dallas and Harlee were still arguing over that. I should say fighting because they weren't talking nice to each other, and I recorded that too. I also went to Pump and Pantry, and when I went to Pump and Pantry, Robert Franklin Mornick held me under siege in my vehicle. I had to lock the doors until he left. The police did nothing to investigate the crimes or to keep me safe from Robert Franklin Mornick. His abuse started years ago, and they committed felonies to help him. This is what happens when you have no friends or family, when you have to rely on alcoholics who are selfish and only care about themselves. Now, Harlee Renee Reichman does not get to play victim because I told the truth. She doesn't get to play the victim when her abuse is all over the internet because she chose to abuse at-risk adults. Myself and Dallas. Then again, Dallas chose to take advantage of an at-risk adult, didn't he? I moved out of Dallas's house so that the crooked sheriff from Dual County wouldn't be able to use me as a pawn to harm them. But that's exactly what he did, and I recorded that too. Harlee keeps wanting to make it about whether or not she was cheating on Dallas. That's what the argument was about, and of course, I found that while listening to some of the other conversations I was looking for in another case. And I did listen for about, 10 or 15 minutes. It's like, man, she's not telling Dallas what she went over to Robert Franklin Mornick's for. She's just yelling at him that he's a horrible person because he's accusing her of cheating. Chances are a lot better that because of her anger and her being pissed off at me for telling the truth, that she was working together with Robert Franklin Mornick to assist in having me incarcerated. See, lots of people don't like being told on. And when you're an at-risk adult, it doesn't matter. Because they can play like they're victims because you told the truth. because you tried to take them to court. Take a look at how I've been treated every time that I've tried to turn in my predators. And look at the fact that I have had to do alone. Every single time. With the exception of, well, there's one feller here in town named Jared Scudder. There was one instance that he called the cops with me. I have to be afraid to go into the cops alone. Harlee knows this. She's preyed on this on multiple occasions. This is not the first time that I have been victimized over Harlee's decisions. She sent me a friend request the other day. And she wanted to know why it is that text message. Hey!
How's it going?
It's going horrible. I'm talking live on my YouTube channel about the abuse here and about how they're taking advantage of at-risk adults and about how I had to flee abuse elsewhere. Alcoholics, you know? So my channel, I speak up about all the realistic part of it, while the police and all of the places that I'm sent to that are supposed to assist me, they just talk over me, talk around me, talk in circles. The problem is they push me to the point of suicide on multiple occasions because I don't have any friends or family. I got the people who call me fam, you know, street fam.
Right.
They say family, but they only say that because it's a good way to manipulate you. Most of us out here are out here because we don't have family. I gotta find my wallet or I'm not gonna be able to buy my coffee.
Right?
Anyway, there was a few situations that after Harlee got them done and taken care of, that she was going to take the time to listen. And I really thought that she had. But she's selfish. She doesn't care about the consequences for at-risk adults. She doesn't stop to consider that she's got kids because she got drunk and had unprotected sex. I have 0 kids because I don't get drunk and I don't have sex. Meanwhile, I did more to protect her children than either of those parents did. The kids are well adjusted given the parents that they have. On the bright side, the last time Harlee came over, she didn't have the kids there. They didn't have to hear them screaming at each other and getting drunk and being jerks. While Dallas and Harlee were arguing over whether or not she was cheating with Robert Franklin Warnick, they sent me to go get breakfast at Pumpkin Pantry. When I got to Pumpkin Pantry, Robert Warnick came out. I locked my doors. And I made sure that it was being recorded and that I spoke to my recording device, my audio recording device. I need help. Instead of being taken advantage of, I need help stopping the abuse. Harlee was not helping to stop the abuse. She was perpetuating it. And she was helping my predators. If she wasn't cheating on Robert Franklin Warnick, she had motivation. And he had motivation. I told on both of them and they were both angry about it. I had also tried going to the police about both of them. Not that it mattered. As an at-risk and disabled adult, they just pawn you off on someone else. I can forgive someone if they change their behaviors, but Renee is a selfish piece of shit. I'm not going to forgive her for what she did to me, to her kids, or to Dallas. And I'm not going to forgive Dallas for what he's done either. Harlee's not sorry for any of the things that she's done. No matter what excuses that she makes about their relationship, I don't give a fuck about 15 years. What I give a fuck about is me witnessing the abuse. The other 15 years don't matter. You want to bring up the past and tell people not to bring up the past. I'm still being abused. Still paying the consequences for Harlee Renee and her decisions. Her decisions to drive drunk with 5 kids in the vehicle. Her decisions to throw objects that could have killed myself or Dallas. Her decisions to physically assault Dallas repeatedly. Those were all her decisions. Hers. She doesn't stop to realize the sacrifices that myself and Dallas have made. Not because we feel bad for Harlee, but because we feel bad for those kids. We agreed that the kids come first. Unfortunately, Dallas thought that his wants with his kids are what comes first. No, I don't give a shit what you want with your kids. I care about their safety, stupid. Anyway, we've also got the screenshots from Nicole Knudsen about the fact that many people knew about Harlee physically assaulting Dallas. But she's a woman, it's okay. She was passed out drunk at the wheel. Passed out drunk at the wheel with 5 kids in the vehicle. Tell me what a horrible person I am. Go ahead. Tell me what a horrible person I am for telling the truth. The people who claim to be my friends, like Dallas, proved that he wasn't. And his brother proved that he wasn't. And if I tell on my predators, I get treated like I'm a bad person because I spoke up, because I didn't just take the abuse. That's the thing about getting help in toxic environments. Dallas wasn't any use to himself even. He wouldn't get a job for 7 months, even though he was physically capable. Instead, he mooched off of my disability money and then complained that I was giving him too much. I had to give him too much because every month, like clockwork, he's going to lose everything. He's going to lose the internet. He's going to lose his house. He's not going to be able to pay this. And he's not going to be able to pay that. So I helped him to get the money together so that he's got enough. And then he says, oh, well, it's no big deal. You know, my aunt financed it. So, you know, I just, if I miss a couple of payments, it's all right. Like, hey, you fucking squeezed me out of the last of my cash for the month. Now what am I supposed to do? But also, I can't say anything about it. I can't say anything about it because then I'll have to worry about being retaliated against for telling the truth. That's the thing about not having a safe place of my own. About having my resources stolen because of slander. Police officers refusing to do their jobs, and none of these mandated reporters are doing their jobs to this day. They have refused. And then saying that my word of mouth is good enough, she doesn't need to see the evidence, that's actually not correct. My safety and the evidence have never been important. Not to Harlee, not to the police, not to Dallas. When I was harmed, instead of helping me to turn it in, I was abused by my friends. Still am. Because I'm still being neglected and I'm still taking abuse over their choices. You ever try to do your taxes Oh, you got people screaming at each other in the background. You ever try making an important telephone call when you've got traffic driving by? There's more, a lot more. See, Harlee doesn't just represent Harlee. She represents the sexism in America and the victimization of males. She represents the fact that all a woman has to do is throw on a couple of crocodile tears after she gets busted drinking and driving with 5 kids in the vehicle, and magically somehow it's her boyfriend's fault. Somehow it's her boyfriend she beats up. Somehow it's his fault that she was drinking and driving with 5 kids in the car. They dropped the charges against her. She was busted red-handed. They arrested Dallas on word of mouth. Zero evidence, and to this day, no evidence.
Go first, sir. You want to go first?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Wait,
No problem.
you're gonna make me associate with Keith?
No, I don't know this guy.
He talks nice to me. I don't want to associate with him.
Yeah, right?
If a guy talked nice to you, don't you think you'd want to associate with him?
Good.
That's right, I'm a man. I almost forgot. Most of the women that I know that complain that they can't find a good man, I'm like, well, that's because good men aren't you. It goes to you,
Send
doesn't
them
it?
down to,
Good men are hard to find.
send
I
them down
agree.
to Chevron. I work 5 days a week.
Yeah, and you're tall
That's right.
behind the counter.
I'm tall even.
Well,
I'm
compared
just
to me,
really
everybody's
tall back here. I'm like 6'2", and once in a while I'll see somebody that's the same height as me on the other side over here. Maybe like 7 feet tall. Oh, this thing just reset. So
Yeah,
I don't have to
I
wait.
got another family that's looking to buy something, and I figured I could do it all at one time. You're welcome.
I gotta wait for that now.
I'm sorry, I'm making it complicated.
That's right. I gotta do this.
I blame the salted caramel. Yeah, I don't want to blame him because he talks nice to me, so it's easier to blame an inanimate object.
That's what I owe you. You are welcome. Thank you.
I guess I could buy some ice.
Okay. All right. We got this. I'm gonna have to do this all over.
We get a basic group later. If there's something you want, you can grab something. Mom comes out of the back if she wants something, she can grab that. Then we just
Hopefully
pay
it
for it all
doesn't
at the same
reset
time.
again. Like this one or that one all day today.
Did it work?
It says enter pin still. Try to put your pin in again.
It's not even registering.
Okay, let's. Purchase. I swear I'm not charging the $6. Perfect. Try and put your pin in again. If I get to forget.
Yeah, let's
Oh, start.
What's that? You sure? Yes, sir. Okay. Let this gentleman behind me go. And then we'll walk through the, I'm sorry, then when this, when the mom comes out of the bathroom, then the mom comes out of the bathroom, she can see if she wants something.
You're all set.
Thanks, sir.
Do you want a copy?
Sure. It tells me I have $145 and something cents left on it. Did my math check out? 145.31. Thank you, sir. I don't hate Harlee. I hate what she did. I don't hate Dallas. I hate what he did. I hate that none of them have enough respect to listen to me or to even acknowledge the hell that I've had to endure over them being abusive to one another. No, Dallas was not always perfect. Then again, all of the situations where he was being verbally abusive to her, she had been verbally abusive to him for at least an hour or more and already been instructed that she needs to leave the house. But she wouldn't. I went to every mandated reporter I was supposed to. I went evidence in hand and none of them would look. They just send me around in circles. This is taking advantage of at-risk adults, and until you speak up about how wrong this is, I literally have to break the law to try to get heard. Nobody takes the situation seriously. I'm still being pawned off from one place to another, being sent back to the same places I'm trying to turn in. This is not okay. I am for assisted termination of life for a reason. You got friends like Harlee, Renee, Dallas, Richmond. Yeah, wanting to kill yourself is a definite possibility. Obviously, if you ever met Natalie, you know that having a crappy family does lead to suicide. Of course, Dallas probably ain't too happy because in the recording, one of the recordings with him that I posted up after him and his brother decided to retaliate because I told the truth. Dallas, he talks about being beaten up by Harlee, but he also talks about how Harlee was trying to claim that he molested his oldest daughter. You think he's happy about that being recorded on my channel? Probably not. When I try to get help, it becomes story time. Everybody else wants to tell me all of their stories. When I was assaulted by Robert Franklin Mornick, I was staying at Dallas's. I had to flee to Dallas's house. I was in between Brenda Dickinson's house, who's one of the people from my story, and Dallas Richmond's house. One of them lives at 41 Thompson Avenue, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. The other one lives at 44 Thompson Avenue, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. False accusations resulted in me not getting to buy that house, by the way. But nobody stops to realize the consequences for me or the destitute situation that I have to live in. Because I never had any friends. I've got Nicole Knudsen recorded on my channel talking about more than one of my predators, including Todd Rust, including Harlee and Renee. It's not that these people weren't aware, it's that they never lifted a finger to help turn it in. My friends and family want to send me to services. Services want to send me to friends and family and to other services. This is fucking immoral. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. You don't stop to realize the psychological trauma of this abuse. Of being abused by people like Harlee. And abused by people like Robert Franklin Warnick. And then you're having to listen to Harlee screaming at your roommate, "You're predators." Your predators get to walk into the house and be predatory towards your roommate and towards you because you're subservient. You don't own the house. And that's where I'm at. I'm stuck in subservient situations with alcoholics and drug addicts. And I do record it. I need a place to go through all of the recordings and all of the screenshots. Being forced into homelessness and volatile situations. And you don't stop to consider how volatile Dallas Richmond's house was. If Dallas wasn't playing video games and screaming real loud to his friends he was playing video games with, he was watching videos about killing or listening to comedy about rape. But I had nowhere else to go. I was glad that he provided a roof for me. And he was glad that I paid him for that. He also ripped me off for $400. Said he needed it for insurance and shit. Instead, he had a bunch of bills with his kids. Then he borrowed $400 more for me. He apologized because he'd spent that $400 on stuff that he wasn't supposed to, but he claimed that he spent it to take care of his kids. Then his dad, registered sex offender Mark Reichman. Yeah, we got Nicole recorded talking about him too. Meanwhile, Mark gets to come over to the house. I gotta play nice with the son of a bitch. And his fucking disgusting wife. And just like every predator in history, she wanna hide behind religion. So did Mark. Getting me into housing didn't stop the abuse. It didn't get me a caseworker that would actually assist me. They ignore my disabilities. They ignore the situation that I've been forced to live in. The reality is, Harlee didn't care about me, and she didn't care about her kids, and she didn't care about Dallas, and still doesn't. What she cares about is getting what she wants right when she wants it, no matter what. She knows that she can lie, she can cheat, she can steal, she can get drunk, and she can beat on people, and she's a woman, so it's okay. She doesn't care about the consequences for others, same as Dallas doesn't care about the consequences for others. The amount of money that he ripped me off for, that he was going to pay me back for, did he ever pay me back? No. Did he ever try? No. Did he ever try keeping his word? Only sometimes. When Dallas was when Harlee was treating me like shit over Dallas, it wasn't my fucking business. She kept making it my business. And he kept making it my business. I've got my own fucking problems. I can't deal with their alcoholic drama. I can't take care of myself. And I am afraid of alcoholics. You have any idea how many alcoholics have abused me in my life? You know, Robert Franklin Warnick was drunk when he fucking assaulted me. But I didn't have any friends or family to help. Sorry, he was drunk when he threatened my life the first time. Instead of the police doing something to turn in Robert Franklin Warnick, they allowed him to continue stalking me over and over and over again. Allowed him to threaten, harass, and bully me. He should have had a protection order from my safety because of the crimes that he was being. That's what happens when you're forced to go to police officers who committed felonies to try to turn in people like Robert Franklin Warnick or Renee or Christopher Kurth. Them not wanting to do their jobs is not my fault. Them pawning me off on agencies that they have lied to is not my fault. Making me go to my predators for help is like making a rape victim go to their rapist to investigate it. It is never okay to force someone to go to their predators. They tell us we should go to our friends and family for help when they don't care because we're not human beings to them. We're just some sucker that they can take advantage of when they need something, and then their idea of helping us is to talk over us and tell us we have to do it ourselves. None of them did it themselves. I'm the only reason Dallas didn't lose everything. My disability money kept him afloat. And he told me more than once that I'm the only reason he didn't kill himself. That's right. I'm the reason Dallas Reichman did not kill himself. How does it make Harlee feel to know that she's the one that pushed him to that point? You know how difficult it is when I'm suicidal over abuse. And I'm busy taking abuse over other people's actions, other people's choices, other people's cowardice. Nicole Medicine is recorded on my channel. She shouldn't be recorded on my channel. We should have been able to turn this into mandated reporters. And no matter where she is in the country, she could have helped me to do that. Any of these people could have helped me to do that. They pretend that I'm able to do it myself because I'm intelligent. They don't stop to take a look at the actual situation. How afraid I had to be of Robert Franklin Mornay. And then after he assaulted me, the Dual County Sheriff's Department did what they always did. They refused to investigate, did everything that they could to manufacture false charges to harm me on and make sure that I was not allowed my legal process of law. They just call me mentally ill, and people harm me over and over again because of that tag. How many of my friends are on the streets because of that tag? Because they were raped or beaten and their predator called them mentally ill. And the protocol in the United States is to victimize the victim when they're called mentally ill. Please help get assisted suicide legal so that people like Renee, so that I don't have to deal with them anymore. So their choices that have made sure that I am harmed for the rest of my life. Let's make it a short one to reduce the harm. Harm reduction means assisted suicide when somebody has no rights. When someone is perpetually victimized because they're not allowed to defend themselves. It's not just Renee, it's also Zach Reichman and Dallas Reichman and Rhonda Knudsen Rust. It's Nicole Knudsen and Brittany Reichman. I've been in contact with the entire family since Natalie's death. That's why I have recording after recording after recording about their abuse and their abusers. Because it wasn't about stopping my abuse. For them, it was about talking about theirs and getting help with theirs. I did what the therapist wanted. And I got in trouble for following instructions. I was told to go to my friends to family for help, and I was treated like I was a stalker for going to my friends and family for help. I was told that I needed to try to call Natalie and settle this out of court. And that was used to pretend that I was some sort of a monster. Joanna Taylor Smith, she encouraged me to make a new Facebook profile. That's not going to stop the abuse. See, she wanted to just focus on people harassing me on the internet. It wasn't just on the internet. But Joanna Taylor Smith is a pretty white girl who's never had to endure this. She's a pretty white girl who has gotten bailed out every time she is screwed up. I needed help stopping the abuse. I didn't need people like Joanna Taylor Smith threatening to harm my predators. I didn't want my predators harmed. I wanted them to stop hurting me. I didn't want them harmed. I wanted them to stop harming me. Harlee's pictures end up on my channel for a reason. She's not the only one who scammed me and her family. Dallas did too. You know who did not scam me? Nicole did not scam me. No, she wasn't a good friend, but she didn't scam me. Dallas Richmond did. Sally Treon certainly did. Brenda and Dennis Dickinson certainly took advantage of me. Veronica Bruce certainly did. Yeah, Nicole did some immoral things by not helping me to turn it in, knowing it was going on, knowing I was telling the truth, knowing that there is a history of this. But instead, they allowed a history for me to be manufactured by predators by forcing me to go in alone. If any of these people were my friends, they wouldn't make me beg. They wouldn't make me beg for them to help. They wouldn't make me beg for my safety. Harlee Renee and her abuse resulted in her children's abusers getting away. And my abusers getting away. Resulted in me being forced into homelessness again. And you pretend that I should have no reaction to that abuse. She wants to pretend that even though she was being abusive towards him in front of me, and that shuts me down and harms me physically, but she doesn't care. Plausible deniability. If she just talks over me, it's fine. If she makes it about her and her bullshit, tries to change the subject and make it about her and Dallas, sorry, bitch, but Dallas already told me over and over and over again that the issue between you and me is between you and me. No, it's not between you and me. It's about you abusing Dallas and abusing everyone in the household by doing so. Putting everyone in the household at risk by getting drunk and belligerent and throwing things. Drunk driving through Chapel, Nebraska. Of course, Dallas does that too, but he doesn't do it with kids in the car. Harlee Renee Richmond, knowingly, willingly, and intelligently committed crimes against myself, Dallas, and her children, and nobody cared. Wait, that's not true. Sean David Schwartz cares. I care about those kids more than I care about booze. I care about those kids more than I care about Rhonda Knudsen Rust. I care about those kids more than I care about Brittany Richmond, more than I care about Dallas Richmond, more than I care about Nicole Knudsen. I care about those kids more than I care about Jamie Curtis. I care about those kids more than anyone because they're kids. But I have to be afraid to go to police about abuse because I will be abused for trying, and we've seen time and again how they run me around in circles. Harlee Renee, for the rest of the week, I'm going to make sure that I post up at least one video about her every single day. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and your sister's too, and no victim left behind. Unless you can call them mentally ill, in which case, sure, fine, go ahead and harm them all you want. It's fair and equal. If it's okay to do it to me, it's okay to do it to anybody. Don't go abusing at-risk adults. It's disgusting. Well, my friends don't care, and have never cared to even try taking a look and speaking out. Harlee Renee Richman belongs in prison. Dallas Richmond didn't rip me off for enough to go to prison, just jail. No, actually over time, yeah, he did take advantage of my finances. But the thing is that almost the whole time I was there, he was telling me I was paying him too much, and he felt bad for taking my money. That's the thing about men. We're taught that we are burdens, we are burdens, we are burdens. And after all of that, he had a container full of money in his house. Full of money. After he borrowed $400 on 2 different occasions from me within a 2-week period, it's $800 of my disability money that went to him. And I had to pay it. Because his place was the only almost safe place for my evidence. Obviously that didn't matter because it all depended upon whether Harlee Richman was being abusive or not. Harlee Richman is highly abusive because, like most women in the country, we've taught them that it's okay to harm men. To play on the bias. You abuse me until I'm disabled. And then you harm me for being disabled and take advantage of me for being disabled. Dallas did that. Harlee did that. Police did that. See, that's the thing. Nobody is bothered to do anything but argue and send me to other people and play stupid. Harlee has had nearly an entire hour devoted to me talking about her situation and her abuse and her choices and how they affect others. A lot of you guys want to tell me to do things that I'm incapable. You want to tell me to do things that I don't have the option of doing. And then you want to pretend like I'm a bad person when I am incapable. I am in a town full of predators with no friends. I am in a town full of predators with no ability to move somewhere else. I don't have the physical ability to keep doing this. I don't have the mental ability or the financial ability to keep doing this. And that's because nobody wanted to do their jobs. On the bright side, at least I'm not Harlee Renee Richman putting children's lives at risk, because alcohol is more important than anything else. You know what Harlee Renee Richman's trauma is? She didn't get what she wanted right when she wanted it. And she didn't get rewarded for every single tantrum. like many women, Harlee was taught that it is okay for her to harm men whenever she wants. That it's okay for her to hit men, it's just not okay for them to hit her back. On 3 different occasions, 3 different occasions, Harlee wouldn't leave the house. There's more than 3 occasions that she wouldn't leave the house, but on these 3 occasions, these are the 3 occasions where Harlee Richman was throwing things at Dallas and hitting him over and over again. Even knowing that I was there in the room and witnessing it, she kept on hitting him and throwing things. And on all 3 of those occasions, Dallas was afraid to call the cops because he was afraid that he would be the one getting arrested. Now, he did push her away from him. That's right, he did. When somebody is assaulting you, I don't consider pushing assault. Not when someone is up in your face and harming you. And for me, because I do have a high pain threshold, and I do have to hold myself to a higher standard than others, because with the label of mentally ill, even though we are most likely to be victimized, and you're seeing exactly why, we're also the most likely that our predators will get away with it, because we've been discredited by the term mentally ill. We've automatically been discredited, and this makes it so that everybody that we go to gets to hold on to that mentally ill excuse for not doing their jobs. Meanwhile, the term mentally ill makes it so that job is mandatory. That's the term that makes it mandatory for them to assist me. Instead, they take advantage of me. They take advantage of my disabilities and outright claim that I have disabilities that I don't have. Officers cannot diagnose schizophrenia. And the fact that it's officers that I'm trying to turn in, and they were allowed to do this repeatedly, is horrible. By preventing me from turning in Scott DaCosta, preventing me from having a safe place or my money and resources, preventing me from having that access, Dole County made sure that no matter what, when I tried to turn in my predators, they went out of their way to guarantee that I couldn't turn them in safely, making me turn in any crimes committed against me in Dole County since January of 2017, almost a year before Natalie was killed. Sending me back to Dole County Sheriff's Department for anything after that is illegal and immoral, and all of you know it. The difference between Harlee Richman and myself is that Harlee Richman was guilty and I was not. They dropped the charges on her because she's female. They dropped the charges on me because they had to. They take advantage of the fact that I cannot function when in a state of crisis. I cannot function when I am separated from my support network, and I have not had a support network since Natalie's death. These people are not working together to help me. They are working together to gaslight me and to postpone everything that they can, to drag it out as long as possible. Hey, Harlee Renee, I got a question for you. Dallas said you claimed you molested your daughter. If you molested your daughter, why do you keep going back and having sex with him, you sick shit? And if you didn't, then why did you make that claim? Why did you make that accusation that Dallas Richman molested your oldest daughter? That is recorded with Dallas on this very channel. His idea of helping me was to get drunk and tell me about the abuse from Harlee. That was his help to me. Now, have you ever watched a basketball game? There's a guy who used to be famous named Dennis Rodman back in the day. He was famous for throwing himself on the floor like a baby and flopping like a fish. Did Dallas throw himself on the ground and flop like a fish when she was hitting him, when she was throwing shit at him? No, he didn't. Men aren't allowed to do that. Only women are allowed to act like children in the United States. But, sadly, every woman in the United States gets to act like a child and be treated like a child. Except that if a woman commits a crime against us versus a child committing a crime against us, you'll prosecute a child, but you won't prosecute a woman for child abuse, neglect, endangerment. Who's more dangerous to Harlee Richman's kids? Me or Mark Richman, the registered pedophile? Who's more dangerous to Harlee's kids? Me or the alcoholic who drives around drunk with those children in the vehicle? On all three of the occasions that Dallas Richman had to push her out of the house for his safety, he did not assault her. And one of those times, he didn't actually shove her. She threw herself down like Dennis Rodman. The other two times, she threw herself down like Dennis Rodman too. It's not like he did a run and shove. It's not like he was trying to punk her. No, it was a one-handed. There's one hand on the door, one hand on Harlee. Push Harlee out the door and close it and lock it. But when he pushed her out, she threw herself on the ground. She knew exactly what to do. It was just like watching Dennis Rodman. And then he's afraid he's going to get in trouble because he had to literally physically assist her out of the house because he had to be afraid of calling the police. Even though I had it recorded and was there as backup to verify his story, he was too cowardly to try. Of course, it's Dual County, Nebraska. How many people have we heard talk about the corruption in western Nebraska? I got Ed Miller, former science teacher in Chapel, Nebraska, former college professor. He was my mom's teacher in high school too. He's got Parkinson's, so he does this all the time. But he spoke to me outside of the Dual County Post Office, or the Chapel Post Office. Spoke to me about another mentally disabled man being abused, and they just railroaded him. Everybody knows about western Nebraska and their corruption. I've got recording after recording of officers lying to me, attempting to manipulate me and take advantage of the fact that I am an at-risk adult who is in a very, very scary situation, to lie to me about what the law is and just keep on changing their lies. By the time they finally admit that I'm telling the truth about what the laws are, they've been lying to me for 6 months, and all that stuff is buried under 6 months worth of evidence. And I still don't have a place to process it. I couldn't possibly process it at Dallas Richman's when Dallas Richman was there all the time, playing video games, watching Game of Thrones. See, that's one thing, that my downtime, something that helps me to escape from this hell, video games help me to escape from the reality just a little bit. Now, people try to change things up on me. Like, I didn't get to play video games while I was up in Montana. I didn't. Amanda Ingline was friends with several people who had gaslighted me, including Jamie Curtis. And they also had done some very immoral things to me and illegal things over the course of our friendships. But I had to rely on my predators for help. I had to rely on people like Dallas Richman, who was in fact my predator there, but not until the end. See, he didn't do all of the horrible things that he did to me for that 7 months because he's a horrible person who hated me. He did those things because he was depressed and feeling sorry for himself. He did those things because he was strung out on alcohol. He did those things because his alcoholism prevented him from functioning. And he did those things to try to drown out his own internal monologue. Now, Dallas Richman is the one who claimed Harlee was accusing him of molesting their oldest daughter. His words. I wonder why Harlee never came forward about that. Was Dallas lying to me about that? That's the only thing that makes sense. Otherwise, Harlee is having her kids around two dangerous pedophiles. That's disgusting.